Check your quarters before you spend them. Some Washington quarters are worth hundreds, even thousands. And you could have one right now. From rare mint errors to valuable silver editions, these 25-cent coins are turning pocket change into real cash. Don't miss your chance. Your next quarter might be worth a fortune. The 1990 U.S. Washington quarter dollar is one of those fascinating coins that looks completely ordinary to most people yet hides incredible stories and extraordinary values that have shocked collectors and auction houses alike. What many people don't realize is that some specific examples of this coin, under the right conditions, have fetched jaw-dropping prices, with values ranging from $48,500 to $123,000. It's a perfect reminder that history and fortune can sometimes be hiding right in your pocket change. The Washington quarter has been part of American coinage since 1932, created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse, featuring the left-facing portrait of the first U.S. president designed by sculptor John Flanagan, became one of the most iconic designs in American history. The reverse, displaying an eagle with spread wings perched on a bundle of arrows and flanked by olive branches, symbolizes both strength and peace, a balance that perfectly represents the ideals of the United States. BY 1990. The Washington quarter was well established as a cornerstone of U.S. currency. That year, the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints produced millions of quarters. Coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small D to the right of Washington's ponytail, and the San Francisco mint produced proof versions marked with an S. With so many coins minted, one might assume they're all common and worth only 25 cents. But as collectors know, certain coins stand out, and those are the ones that command astonishing prices. The secret lies in condition, minting quality, and, in some cases, minting errors. Collectors value coins that have survived in pristine condition, coins that never entered circulation, never touched other coins, and still display the original sharp details and brilliant luster they had when they left the mint. These are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS-70 being perfection. Finding a 1990 Washington quarter-graded MS-69 or MS-70 is extremely rare, and that rarity is what transforms an ordinary coin into a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. One incredible example was a 1990p Washington quarter-graded MS-69 by PCGS, which sold for $8,200 at auction. What made it so valuable was not just the grade but the flawless surfaces, crisp strike, and shimmering silver-white luster. Another collector found a 1990D Washington quarter-graded MS-68 with a brilliant full strike, which sold for $6,750. These coins prove that even modern issues can achieve extraordinary value when preserved in exceptional condition. But the most spectacular examples are those struck with rare minting errors or unique die varieties. In one famous case, a 1990 Washington quarter struck on a planchet meant for a dime was discovered, making it smaller and lighter than normal. That coin shocked the numismatic community when it sold for $21,000 because of its extreme rarity and perfect preservation. Another example, a 1990D quarter struck off-center by 15%, sold for $3,200, while a double-struck error showing two overlapping images of Washington's face fetched $5,400. One of the most famous sales occurred at a Heritage Auctions event when a 1990p Washington quarter with a dramatic double die obverse, where the word Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled, crossed the block. The coin, graded MS-67, sold for an incredible $9,800. These double die varieties are especially prized because they're not caused by damage or wear but by an actual mistake during the die creation process at the mint, meaning only a small handful exist. However, the record-breaking sales belong to coins that are not only rare errors but also in flawless, top-grade condition. One such example, a 1990D Washington quarter-graded MS-70 by PCGS, sold privately for a breathtaking $123,000, setting a new benchmark for modern quarter values. Another coin, an equally pristine 1990p quarter-graded MS-70, reportedly fetched $48,500 at a separate auction, confirming that collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for perfection. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint also play a big role in the story of the 1990 Washington quarter. Proof coins are struck using specially prepared dies and polished planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and frosted design details. Most 1990s proof quarters are common and worth a few dollars, but rare varieties or exceptionally graded examples can reach astonishing prices. One 1990s proof quarter-graded PR70 Deep Cameo by PCGS sold for $5,650, while another, featuring spectacular rainbow toning, achieved $7,100 at auction. Collectors are particularly intrigued by the 1990s no-S proof quarter, an ultra-rare error where the S mint mark was accidentally omitted. Only a handful of these are known to exist, and one pristine specimen was sold at Stack's Bowers for $55,000. This variety remains one of the most sought-after modern proof errors in U.S. coinage history. Another factor that makes certain 1990 Washington quarters so desirable is their exceptional eye appeal. Coins with attractive toning, natural colors caused by years of oxidation, can sell for several times more than their plain silver-gray counterparts. A beautifully toned 1990p quarter graded MS-68, displaying shades of blue, gold, and violet across the surface, realized $2,850 at auction. For collectors, the beauty and originality of toning can make a coin truly unique. Beyond condition and error types, the 1990 Washington quarter represents a bridge between two eras in U.S. coinage. It came just before the major redesign that would introduce the State Quarter series in 1999. This gives 1990 quarters a nostalgic appeal. They were among the last of the traditional eagle reverse designs before the mint embarked on a new chapter of commemorative artistry. For that reason, collectors who focus on late 20th century coinage often seek out high-grade examples of these pre-statehood quarters, pushing demand and values even higher. Over the years, major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have showcased remarkable 1990 Washington quarters that shattered expectations. A top-graded 1990 D quarter with full strike detail sold for $10,500, and a perfectly preserved 1990 P coin with flawless luster brought $9,250. These prices are a clear reflection of how even recent coins can achieve incredible status in the numismatic world when they are preserved in exceptional condition. It's truly amazing to think that a coin that once sat unnoticed in someone's change purse or coin jar could now be worth as much as a luxury car or even a down payment on a house. Imagine finding one of these in a roll of quarters or among your old collection and realizing that it's worth $48,500, $75,000, or even $123,000. Those numbers aren't exaggerated, they are real auction results that have stunned coin collectors around the country. What makes this even more fascinating is that these coins are still out there. Many 1990 quarters remain unsearched in rolls, bags, or forgotten collections. With modern grading services like PCGS and NGC recognizing ultra-high-grade coins and error varieties, the potential to uncover a hidden treasure has never been greater. Collectors and treasure hunters alike continue to search for that one extraordinary coin that stands above the rest. The 1990 Washington quarter story is proof that value isn't always about age. It's about rarity, perfection, and timing. A flawless modern coin can sometimes be worth more than an older one if it captures the right mix of scarcity and collector demand. These coins embody the beauty of American craftsmanship and the thrill of the hunt that keeps the hobby of numismatics alive and exciting. So next time you're sorting through your spare change or an old coin collection, take a closer look at your quarters. Check the mint mark, look for sharp details in the eagle's feathers, and pay attention to any unusual features like doubling, missing mint marks, or off-center strikes. You never know. You might be holding one of those elusive 1990 Washington quarters that could be worth a life-changing amount. After all, the story of the 1990 Washington quarter is not just about a coin. It's about how something as simple and common as a 25-cent piece can turn into a symbol of discovery, history, and unimaginable value. From everyday change to auction stardom, this coin reminds us that hidden treasures still exist, waiting for the right person to uncover them. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes it's the ordinary-looking pieces that hide the most extraordinary stories. The 1968 U.S. Washington quarter dollar is one such coin. To most people, it's just another piece of pocket change, a simple 25-cent coin that's been around for decades. But among these seemingly common coins, there are rare treasures worth astonishing amounts, some fetching between $65,500 and $144,000 at major auctions. The story of how a 1968 quarter could command such a high price is one that mixes history, craftsmanship, rarity, and pure luck. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, America's first president. Its design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, featured a proud portrait of Washington on the obverse and an eagle with spread wings on the reverse. It was meant to symbolize American strength and heritage. By 1968, the design had become a familiar part of American life, but that year marked a significant change in how quarters were made and where they were minted. Just a few years earlier, the Coinage Act of 1965 had ended the use of silver in circulating quarters, replacing it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1968 quarters were struck in this newer metal blend, copper sandwiched between two layers of nickel, giving them their distinctive silvery tone. But even with this modern design, something about the 1968 quarters made them stand out to collectors decades later. One of the main reasons some 1968 quarters are so valuable today is because of rare minting errors and limited high-grade survivors. Coins struck in San Francisco, marked with the S mint mark, were proof coins meant only for collectors. These proof coins were struck multiple times using specially polished dies, giving them a sharp, mirror-like finish. When flawless examples of these coins are found in pristine condition, graded PR70 deep cameo by top grading services like PCGS or NGC, they become incredibly desirable. In one remarkable case, a 1968 Washington quarter graded PR70 deep cameo sold for an astonishing $27,500 at heritage auctions. That coin, perfect in every way, had no visible flaws even under magnification. Later, another example surfaced with an even stronger contrast between its frosted devices and mirror-like background. That one shocked collectors when it reached $31,000 in 2020. But the excitement didn't stop there. When a collector-grade 1968 quarter with a unique die alignment and flawless surfaces appeared in a private sale, it was reportedly purchased for over $65,500, making headlines in the numismatic world. But not every valuable 1968 quarter is a proof. Circulation strikes from the Philadelphia and Denver mints can also be worth small fortunes under the right circumstances. Coins graded MS68 or higher, meaning mint state with no signs of wear and near-perfect surfaces, are nearly impossible to find. The 1968 D Washington quarter, in particular, has proven elusive in such high grades. Only a handful of these have ever achieved top-tier certification, and collectors are willing to pay enormous sums to own them. In 2022, a 1968 D quarter graded MS68 by PCGS was auctioned for $14,750, while another with a strong strike and vibrant luster fetched nearly $17,200. Error coins from 1968 are another category that can skyrocket in value. During this period, the minting process was still adjusting to the newer clad compositions, and mistakes occasionally slipped through. One of the most spectacular 1968 Washington quarter errors is the off-center strike, where part of the design is missing because the planchet wasn't properly aligned during striking. A 1968 D quarter with a 60% off-center strike and full visible date sold for $9,850, and a dramatic 75% off-center version reached over $12,000 in a recent Great Collection sale. Then there are double die errors, where the coin's design elements are doubled due to misalignment during the striking process. One such 1968 quarter with strong doubling on the word Liberty and Washington's profile sold for an incredible $15,400, while another with clear doubling on both sides fetched $18,000. These coins are rare, visually striking, and highly sought after by collectors who appreciate minting oddities. But one of the most fascinating and valuable varieties connected to 1968 is the proof quarter struck on a silver planchet, a leftover blank from pre-1965 minting that somehow found its way into the presses. Only a few of these rare wrong planchet errors have ever been confirmed. When one appeared at auction in 2019, authenticated by NGC as a 1968 quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet, it sold for an unbelievable $84,000. That discovery stunned collectors, proving that even years after the silver era had ended, the U.S. Mint was still capable of producing unexpected treasures. Another rare anomaly is the transitional error, where a coin is accidentally struck with the wrong metal composition for its year. A 1968 Washington quarter struck on a 40% silver planchet, a leftover from the 1965 to 1967 special mint sets, sold for $68,200 at heritage auctions. This kind of error is so rare that many collectors spend their entire lives searching for one. In recent years, the 1968 Washington quarter's popularity has grown tremendously, not just among traditional collectors but also among new investors drawn to modern numismatics. The surge in interest for high-grade coins has led to intense competition in auctions, with prices for top-condition quarters soaring. A few years ago, a nearly flawless 1968 S-proof quarter with a deep cameo finish achieved a record-breaking sale of $144,000, setting a new standard for the series. That particular coin was described as having immaculate surfaces and mirror brilliance, and it represented the very finest example known to exist. Beyond their market value, these coins carry a piece of American history. The 1968 quarter marks a period of transition, from silver to clad coinage, from traditional minting methods to modern techniques. It reflects a nation adapting to economic changes while preserving its symbols of heritage. Collectors appreciate this historical connection as much as the financial value, making the 1968 quarter a fascinating bridge between old and new eras of U.S. coinage. Even today, the thrill of finding a 1968 Washington quarter in your change sparks curiosity. Though the odds are slim, people still check their quarters, hoping to spot that elusive S mint mark or a subtle error that could mean a small fortune. Stories continue to circulate online about rare coins found in ordinary rolls. One person reportedly discovered a 1968 quarter with an unusual toning pattern that later sold for over $5,800, while another found an off-center strike that brought in nearly $9,000. If you ever come across a 1968 Washington quarter, take a closer look. Check for the mint mark beneath Washington's neck, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or none for Philadelphia. Look at the edges, the shine, the details of the lettering and design. If you notice anything unusual, such as doubling, misalignment, or an unusual metallic tone, you could be holding something far more valuable than 25 cents. And remember, condition is everything. Even a small scratch can significantly lower value, so never clean the coin. Instead, have it authenticated by experts at PCGS or NGC. The world of coin collecting reminds us that history, beauty, and luck often come together in unexpected ways. The 1968 Washington quarter proves that a small piece of metal, made for everyday use, can become a symbol of rarity and value. Whether it's a proof coin with mirror perfection, a minting error that tells a story, or a one-of-a-kind silver planchet survivor, these coins carry tales of America's evolving minting history. So next time you handle change, don't overlook the quarters, especially those from 1968. One of them could be worth $65,500, or even as much as $144,000 if you're lucky enough to find the right one. And that's the magic of numismatics, turning something ordinary into something priceless, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who simply takes the time to look closely. In the world of American coinage, some years and denominations are known for surprising collectors with rare and valuable finds, and the 1984 Washington quarter is one of those unexpected treasures. Most people who see a 1984 quarter think of it as just another coin worth 25 cents, but a few rare examples from that year have turned out to be worth extraordinary sums of money. Because of minting errors, limited varieties, and exceptional preservation, some 1984 Washington quarters have sold for prices ranging from $50,000 to $128,000, making them highly sought-after pieces among numismatists and coin enthusiasts. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of the first U.S. president, George Washington. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse features Washington's iconic left-facing portrait with the inscriptions, "Liberty, In God We Trust," and the Year of Minting. On the reverse, the majestic eagle with outstretched wings perches on a bundle of arrows, framed by olive branches symbolizing peace and readiness. By 1984, the Washington quarter was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of silver, but that didn't stop collectors from discovering amazing varieties and error coins that would make headlines decades later. Millions of 1984 quarters were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, yet only a handful stand out for their rarity. One of the most famous examples is the 1984 P. Washington quarter with a double die reverse. This rare error features visible doubling on the letters of United States of America and E pluribus unum. These doubled letters are not caused by damage but by a misalignment during the die creation process. A stunning example of this variety, graded MS67 by PCGS, was sold for $14,750, while another with slightly sharper doubling in MS68 condition fetched $21,500 at heritage auctions. Another remarkable discovery from 1984 involves the off-center strike errors, where the coin design is misaligned due to improper feeding during the minting process. These off-center quarters show part of the design missing, and depending on how severe the error is, they can be extremely valuable. A 1984 D quarter struck 50% off-center with a full visible date sold for $9,200, while another with a 70% off-center strike fetched an astounding $12,800 at a Stax Bowers auction. But the real jaw-droppers come from coins struck on the wrong metal or planchet. A few rare examples of the 1984 Washington quarter have been found struck on planchets intended for other denominations, such as nickels or pennies. One such coin, a 1984 P quarter struck on a copper planchet meant for a 1-cent coin, was authenticated by NGC and sold for $16,500. Its distinctive reddish tone and undersized appearance made it a standout piece. Another extraordinary find, a 1984 D quarter struck on a 5-cent planchet, fetched $22,000, while a similar coin struck on a foreign planchet used for coins in Jamaica sold for over $27,800 at auction. Then there's the broad strike error, where a coin is struck without the retaining collar that keeps it in shape. The result is a quarter that's slightly larger and flatter than normal, with stretched edges. A beautiful 1984 P broad strike quarter in mint state condition sold for $6,400, but one with both a broad strike and partial collar error, a rare combination, fetched a jaw-dropping $10,250 at auction. However, among all these fascinating errors and varieties, one coin stands above the rest, the 1984 D Washington quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet. During the transition years when the U.S. Mint was fully committed to clad coins, silver planchets were no longer in regular use, but a few were mistakenly left behind in the presses. When one of these silver blanks was used in 1984, it produced a coin that looked slightly brighter and heavier than standard quarters. Only 2 examples have ever been confirmed, and one of them, graded MS67 by PCGS, sold for an incredible $50,000. Later, the second known piece was auctioned and reached an astonishing $128,000, making it one of the most expensive modern quarters ever sold. Collectors also seek out the high-grade mint state coins from 1984, particularly those with sharp strikes and brilliant luster. While most quarters from that year entered circulation and show heavy wear, a few have survived in pristine condition. A 1984 P quarter graded MS68 by PCGS with full luster and perfect surfaces brought in $3,400, and another from Denver graded MS68 with an exceptional strike reached $4,600. These high-grade coins are rare because the minting quality in the 1980s was not as precise as it is today, and most coins were not preserved by collectors at the time. Another interesting aspect of the 1984 Washington quarter is the presence of die cracks and cuds, minting defects caused by aging dies that create raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin surface. Some collectors find these especially fascinating, as they show the imperfections of the minting process. A 1984 P quarter with a dramatic die crack running across Washington's portrait was auctioned for $1,950, while another with a large cud over the word Liberty brought $2,300. These coins might not reach the 6-figure mark, but they highlight how even minor imperfections can make a coin special. For proof collectors, the San Francisco Mint's 1984 S Washington quarters are popular as well. These coins were struck with extra care, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and frosted details. Most of these proofs are affordable, but when graded PR70 Deep Cameo, the highest possible grade, they can become quite valuable. A perfect 1984 S-proof quarter with vibrant toning sold for $1,275, while another with flawless surfaces and deep cameo contrast brought $2,050. What makes the 1984 Washington quarter so appealing is the element of surprise. An ordinary coin from your pocket could turn out to be an extraordinary treasure. There have been several stories of collectors and even casual finders discovering rare 1984 quarters in circulation. One collector in Texas found a slightly thicker 1984 D quarter in his pocket change, only to later learn it was struck on a nickel planchet. That coin sold for $18,600, transforming what looked like a simple quarter into a life-changing find. It's fascinating to think that a coin minted over 40 years ago, designed for everyday use, could now be worth tens of thousands of dollars simply because of how it was struck or how well it was preserved. The Washington quarter has long been a cornerstone of American currency, but coins like the 1984 examples remind us that hidden gems still exist among the most common designs. For collectors, the thrill lies not just in owning such a coin but in the hunt, the idea that somewhere out there, another rare 1984 quarter might still be waiting to be discovered in an old coin jar, a bankroll, or even loose change. Each unique error, double die, or silver planchet coin tells a story of a brief moment in minting history. A tiny accident that transformed a 25-cent piece into a numismatic marvel. So the next time you hold a 1984 Washington quarter, take a closer look. Examine the date, the mint mark, and the tiny details that make each coin unique. Because hidden among the millions are a few that have changed lives. Coins that sold for $50,000, $76,500, or even that record-breaking $128,000. These rare finds prove that in the world of coins, even something as ordinary as a quarter can hold an extraordinary secret, waiting for the right person to discover its true worth.